Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about the film A Returned Man, which was produced in South Korea in 1960. This film talks about a young couple who was very happy, deeply in love. The man worked as a pharmacist and they were expecting their first baby, and they really lived in sheer happiness and financial comfort. However, war started and the man had to be conscripted while his wife was still pregnant. She got very sad, she didn't want him to go, but it was inevitable. Then he went to war. At first he wasn't fighting directly, but assisting sick soldiers, and because he was a pharmacist, so he was taking care of people who weren't feeling well. However, there was an attack on the place where he was. His face was severely burned, and then he was saved by a countryman who took care of him. However, when the pharmacist woke up and saw how disformed his face was, he fell into huge depression. In the middle of the war, the pregnant wife, she left Seoul, which was the capital, it is still the capital of South Korea, and she went to the countryside to stay with her family, and she had her baby there. The husband, he returned to Seoul. He realized that the wife was with her family in the country. He went to the countryside, but his wife had already returned to Seoul. It was safe there again. But she wasn't living with her relatives anymore. However, the husband didn't look for his wife after that. He was extremely ashamed of his condition, and he preferred not to disturb his wife. Time passed. He adopted a little girl who was orphaned due to the war. 20 years had passed. His daughter was already an adult, a very studious and intelligent and reasonable girl, and he was working in his field of pharmacy again. Then he was employed in a huge pharmacy company, and he had good references. The owner of the company wanted him to be in charge of the laboratory so he could help the company to obtain some patents. And it happened. The company really got those patents, and to celebrate, the president of the pharmacy company, he threw a party in his house, and he invited everyone from his company, including this guy who was the head of the laboratory. And he was there. And when he was in the party, he realized that the wife of his boss was actually his wife, with whom she married 20 years before. And even worse, the son of the owner of the pharmacy company, he was in love with his daughter. They were kinda dating, and someday this boy, he got very angry with his daughter and he cursed her. Then the daughter went home, started crying, and told her father that the boy cursed her. And then the father beat up the boy. However, he didn't know that this boy was actually his son. So when he arrived to the house of his boss, to the party, he realized that the wife of his boss was his wife 20 years ago. And then he realized that the oldest boy, the one who was in love with his daughter, the one he beat up, was actually his son. The boss wife recognized him. They both got disturbed. Then a while later, the wife of the boss started to investigate because she found that pharmacist a bit too familiar. She got to see his resume, and then she was certain that that pharmacist was her husband of 20 years ago, the father of her first son. And then people around them slowly found out about this secret. Of course, it was a shock to the family. It was a shock to her current husband. And her son realized that he wasn't the son of the father he thought he was. And to make things more complicated, the son of the owner of the pharmacy company, he was approached by his colleagues to join the student movement, because there were some protests in the country back then of students who didn't agree with the government, who wanted to live in a better world. But of course that this is something dangerous. When you protest against the government, it's often the police comes to repress the protests and people are hurt. At first, the boy was a little bit hesitant to join the student movement. Then he did it, and he went to his first protest. And of course, the police was there were fights, and this boy was seriously hurt in the middle of this clash with the police. And his blood father, the pharmacist, he saw everything. He took his son to the hospital. He took care of him. He told his family that the boy was in the hospital. But still, he didn't have the courage to stay with his son for a long time. When the family arrived, his mother and his stepfather arrived, he left the hospital and he left a letter to everyone saying that it would be better if he disappeared, asking for the owner of the pharmacy company to take care of his daughter, please, because she had no one else in the world. He would disappear. He would always love his former wife and son, but he didn't have any right to interfere with their lives, and that the past was already gone, just a memory, and he simply left. He delivered a letter of resignation in his company. He left his adopted daughter in the care of his boss in the pharmacy company, and disappeared. And then of course that everyone was very moved. The boy was very moved because he knew it was his blood father who took him to the hospital. He called him father, and it's a real melodrama, but it's still as poignant nowadays as it was in the past, because it talks about family, about feelings. It's universal subjects and they never get old. So it's a wonderful film. Classic Korean films do deserve more recognition. They aren't easy to find, but it's crucial to understand not only South Korea, but their pop culture. They are very well made. They are different from the other Asian films of the era. So I'm sure you're going to love this film. That's all for now, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you!